welcome back to the Time Pass podcast. This is your host, Ashika. Thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. If you haven't done so already, please like me on Facebook at Time Pass Podcast. Follow me on Instagram at TimePass_podcast. And check out the YouTube channel where you can watch all the episodes of the Time Pass podcast. If you are an auditory listener, wherever you are tuning into the Time Pass podcast, please make sure that you are liked, followed, or subscribed on your listening platform of choice, wherever you tune into podcasts. All right, you guys, it's February, and I do this thing in the beginning of the year, and I've done it for, I don't know, maybe like two years now, where I like to have a word of the year. So if you go back to last year's episode, I think sometime in January, I did an episode with Archit Shashastri from Atlanta, Georgia, and it was about the Indian American dating experience. And while we were talking on that show, somehow it came out that I do a word of the year, and he does a word of the year too, and we both do have the same practice, where we write it. Actually, we both have a word of the year, but my practice, I think, was different than his. So I like to take my word of the year and I write it on a Post-it and I stick it on my bathroom mirror. And I use like big block lettering. I use like a Sharpie, and I like it because it motivates me. It's the first thing I see when I wake up, and it's the last thing I see before I go to bed. So it's a good reminder for me of whatever goal or whatever feeling I had, the tone I was trying to set for the year. So last year, the word was discipline, which was great because I was like serious on, even more serious than I am now. Well, I'm more serious now than I was then, but I was starting to get serious about my fitness journey. And so my word of the year last year was discipline. And I loved seeing it because when I woke up in the morning, it just reminded me to like make good choices, make sure that I like meal prepped, or if I had to go out to grab lunch or breakfast or dinner, to make sure that I was making healthy choices and made sure that I was showing up to my workouts. It was just something that really motivated me. It didn't really have any sort of negative connotations. It was just like a reminder that, hey, like this is your year, you are gonna be disciplined. Because especially when it comes to my fitness, I would have to say having discipline be my word of the year last year, really, like, I don't need that to be my word of the year this year. Like, I've already had that ingrained in me. Plus, with the fall and trying to recover from my ankle, I have just been going hard. I have never worked out this much in my entire life. Well, maybe when I was younger, like in high school. But, I just finished this program. I'm on my last week, and I started it in January at the very beginning of the year, where I was working out 6 days a week for 6 weeks. That was like the program. And my trainer, Missy, who's been on the show, check her out at Kaleo Fitness. She developed a special program that her and I kind of talked about, and I've been going hard at it. And so this is week 6. It's my final week, and I have 3 days left. So I actually have to get a workout in after this. I gotta fix the hair and get all sweaty. But, I really feel like I learned a lot from that. Well, the end of the year came around in 2022, and I could not pick a word of the year. I struggled with trying to find something that resonated with me as much as discipline did in 2022. So I was thinking and going back and forth, and I had just done an episode at the end of last year about perseverance. And I believe in that episode, if you go back and listen, I'm actually brainstorming as I'm talking to you guys about perseverance, and I'm saying, maybe that'll be my word of the year for 2023, perseverance. So I had that in my head, but I wasn't sold on it. But then the new year came, and I was like, I gotta get something on the mirror. I felt like I needed something on the mirror because I had taken discipline down. So I decided on perseverance being the word of the day. And I don't think I was 100% sold on it. because I never wrote it down on a Post-it and stuck it on the mirror. Yet, because I'm so used to seeing something there every morning, when I would wake up in the morning and I would say, oh, I need to write that down, and I would think of the word, right? I would think of perseverance, and I was just like, okay, that's going to be the word. I never got around to writing it down. And here's the thing, you guys. I started to realize that I value perseverance in a person's character. Like, I think perseverance is a really great quality to have. People need to have the skill to persevere through their challenges and trials and tribulations. However, for me, that word is negative. It carries a negative connotation with it for me because it reminds me of all my past trauma and hurt and issues and pain that I have had to persevere through. Again, I think perseverance is super important to have. Go back and listen to that episode. I talk all good things about perseverance. But I do not want to wake up in the morning and be reminded of my pain and my trauma and the things and the hurt that I've been through in my life that I had to persevere against. And I don't want to go to bed and be reminded of that either. And so I started thinking, and I was like, this isn't a good word of the year, because I am a pretty positive person. I mean, I have my moments, as does everyone, and I can be a bit dramatic, but I did not want to be reminded of all the shit that I went through in my life and had to persevere against. I mean, I know that I can persevere against most odds. Like, I've been through a lot in my life. Some things I probably shouldn't have ever made it out of on the other side, but I did. And perseverance isn't something I need to be reminded to do because it's just innate in me. It's just something I do. It's in my character. I will not, just lay down. I will persevere. I will work through it. I will get through it. So besides having that negative connotation of all the stuff that I've had to persevere against through my life, it was also something that I don't feel was doing anything for me. It's not something I need a reminder to do. It's something that I already do naturally. I've had to do it since I was a child. So it didn't really fit the mold for me. And then I started thinking, and I was like, this is why. This is why I never wrote it down. This is why it never made it to my bathroom mirror, because it was negative thinking. And I think that there's a power in positive thoughts. I think there's a power in what we say and what we think. And I think it's really important to think positive. And I did a lot of research on positive thinking, and there's so many benefits, you guys, to thinking positively versus thinking negatively. And I want to share these things with you. So, what is positive thinking, right? Positive thinking doesn't mean that you ignore life's problems or the things that aren't going well in your life. It just means that you approach those problems in a more positive and productive way. Like, you have to be optimistic. You have to think that the best is going to happen and not the worst. And this is so funny because I'm a very optimistic person. Like, I'm the eternal optimist. My boss the other day was complaining about something, and then I said something, and I was like, well, da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, of course you'll say that. Your glass is always half full. And it's like, it is. Like, what's the harm in thinking that everything's going to eventually work out for you? Like, I did a reel on this. Like, change your mindset. Think positively. Like, you are not doing yourself any favors by thinking that things aren't going to work out for you. Like, thinking positively is huge in your mood, in your attitude, and your outlook in life. And there's health benefits. The health benefits from positive thinking include increased lifespan, lower rates of depression, lower levels of distress and pain, greater resistance to illnesses, better psychological and physical well-being, better cardiovascular health and reduced risk of death from cardiovascular disease or stroke. I won't die like that. I'll stay positive. I'll stay with my glass half full. Well, this is all full, but you know. Reduced risk of death from cancer, reduced risk of death from respiratory conditions, reduced risk of death from infections. There's a lot of reduced risk of death. So if you're one of those people that fears dying, try being positive. Better coping skills during hardships and times of stress. So what this research found is that there isn't any real conclusive evidence about why people who engage in positive thinking reap these health benefits, but there are some theories, and one of the theories is just that having a positive outlook on life and situations enables you to cope with stress better, and therefore it reduces the harmful effects of stress on your body. And another frame of thought is that people who are more optimistic live healthier lifestyles, they get more physical activity, they follow a healthier diet, they don't smoke, and they don't drink alcohol in excess. I drink, but not in excess, unless I'm out. I digress. Anyway, so how do we train ourselves to think more positively? How do we do this? And what if you're not sure if the thoughts that you're having are negative or positive? So here are some common forms of negative self-talk. Filtering. You magnify negative aspects of a situation and you take out all the positive things and only focus on the negative things. So you could have a great day out shopping and buying the things you like or just having a good time, yet you will focus on the people that cut you off on the road, the parking spot that somebody beat you out of, or the rude customer service lady that was helping you, versus looking at the entire trip as a positive experience. Personalizing. So when something bad happens, and I am guilty of this. Like I said, I'm the eternal optimist. I am a very positive person. I like to think that everything's gonna work out for me. I like to believe in the best of people, which is why I stay in situations longer than I should. But I am really guilty of this. So when something bad happens, I automatically blame myself. It's automatically what did I do? What did I do wrong? What did I do to make this happen? It's my fault. What did I do? So not everything is your fault, y'all. It's not your fault. A lot of times, it's more about the other person. If we're talking about romantic love relationships, a lot of time it's not anything you did, it's about the other person. So, and you're talking to somebody who knows this and still gets caught up in that personalizing, especially in the beginning when something happens. So really catch yourself on this. Catastrophizing. So this is when you automatically expect the worst without any facts or any telltale signs that the worst is going to happen. So it's you wake up in the morning and somebody cuts you off on your way to work. That's it. Your day's ruined. It's going to be a horrible day. There's no redeeming qualities to the day. That's it. This is a catastrophe. This whole day is a write-off. It's going to be horrible. Another thing is blaming. So another form of negative thinking is when you try to say someone else is responsible instead of you. And so you have to be careful with blaming and personalizing, right? You need to be humble enough to realize when something is your fault. And I do this a lot at work. Well, not a lot because I try not to make mistakes, but when there's a miscommunication or a breakdown or something doesn't happen, I look at the situation from all sides and I figure out what my part was in it. If I have a part in it, you best believe that I'm apologizing and I'm owning up to it. I'm not gonna throw the blame on anybody else. I played a part in this. I may not play the whole part in it, but I played a part in it. I'm really conscious of that, and I'm also really conscious of that when I have subordinates working under me. If they play a part in something, I'm very conscious of that. But I'm also not like personalizing things that have nothing to do with me. So you have to really differentiate between personalizing and blaming. Okay, another form of negative self-talk is saying like you should do something. I did this for years about my health and fitness. Oh, I should wake up and work out. Oh, I should work out when I get home from work. Oh, I should really like meal prep. I'm doing this right now with meal prep, actually, you guys, because I haven't been meal prepping for a few weeks now, and it's driving me insane. So I have been saying like I should, and then I feel bad, right? But you can't keep saying you should do this and not actually blame yourself for not doing them, right? So you think of all the things that you should do, and then you blame yourself for not doing them. So, I mean, don't either do them or don't do them, but don't sit there and like shame yourself for not doing them. Magnifying. You can take a really small issue and make it the biggest issue ever. Like, this happens a lot in the workplace, I feel, where like someone makes like one small error and then it's like, oh my God, well this happened and this person did this and this person did that. And I am a really good like de-escalator of situations if I'm involved in them, or if I get like thrown in an email loop and people are like going off about something. And if there's something I can do to de-escalate the situation and just get everybody to focus on the main goal versus the one little thing that went wrong that really isn't a big deal, that is something that I really enjoy doing. I don't like the drama. I'm just not, as much as I say I am the drama, like I really don't like drama in my life because it throws me off balance. So try not to magnify bad things that happen. This is a hard one. This is a really hard one for a lot of people, but perfectionism. You can't have impossible standards that you set for yourself because you're setting yourself up for failure. You need to realize that you're human. You need to realize that you're gonna make mistakes. It's okay to want things to be a certain way, and you can strive for that, but when it doesn't happen, you can't beat yourself up for it because it wasn't very realistic. You really need to set more realistic expectations for yourself. Not everything can be perfect all the time. It's just life doesn't work that way. And it really builds character when you learn that things don't work out perfectly, and how you handle those situations when they don't work out perfectly really builds character. And then polarizing. People are guilty of this all the time. Things aren't just black and white. They're not just high and low. There's a middle ground. There's a gray area. Like, you have to have that compromise. You have to have that ability to come this way a little bit and then have the other person come this way a little bit. You have to be able to think outside the box. You have to be able to give a little bit and see a little bit from the other person's point of view. It's not black and white. It's not yes or no. It's not that simple. Don't polarize things. So, my dilemma, right? Let's go back to my dilemma. Perseverance, my word of the year. Not committed to it. Didn't like it. And I kind of like just put it in the back of my mind because I was like, I don't want to think about perseverance every day before when I wake up and when I go to bed. Like, that's depressing, not happening. And then I was going through some things, right? I've been going through some challenges in my life, in my personal life. And I got to that place, nobody expects you to be a positive thinker 24/7. It's okay to feel bad about things that happen in your life, and it's okay to throw yourself a pity party, and it's okay to drink bourbon and cry about it. That's really specific. I don't know who I'm talking about, but it's okay to do those things. You just can't live there forever, right? Like, you can have a pity party. You deserve to feel how you feel those emotions, let them out. deal with them, reflect on them, and then you have to move on. You can't live in that pity party place. Okay? So when I was in that pity party place, as I was, going through some stuff, I found myself, when bad things happen to us, right, we always ask, well, why? Why can't I have this? Why can I never have this? Why is this always happening to me? Like, why? And I found myself asking myself that question a lot, because you guys know I like to ask myself why I'm feeling certain ways a lot. Like when something bothers me, I'm like, well, why does it bother me, right? I talk about this a lot on the show when I tell you guys that, like, hey, if something's bothering you or you feel bad, you need to really dig deep and figure out why. This wasn't that kind of why. This was a more like, woe is me, why is me, right? So as the days went on and I was, bringing myself out of my gray cloud and my Eeyoreness, I started flipping the script on myself. And I started to think the same thought, but positively, So it wasn't like, why is this happening to me? Like, why do I do this and this never happens? But it was like, I do this and this is gonna happen for me. And I started saying that to myself. It sort of became like a mantra for me. Anytime I started to feel myself going back to the bad place or starting to feel bad for myself as I was trying to deal with the situation. And I started saying it like a couple times a day. I really struggled in the mornings waking up. I really struggled, and I would find myself going to a bad place in the mornings. And I don't like that, right? It's the whole reason why I didn't keep perseverance as my word of the year, because I like to be positive in the mornings and happy. Like, I don't want to start my day off on a negative note because I don't want to, catastrophize my day. So I started saying it. I started saying it in the morning, and then if I struggled in the day or at night, I would repeat this phrase to myself. And then one day, y'all, I have never experienced anything like this before, okay? I'm getting to get a little hippie on you now, okay? I was at work, of all places. But I think that's what happens when you're grieving something and you're going through something. You never know when a sensation is going to hit you, right? You never know when grief is going to hit you. And so I was at work and I caught myself having like a moment of grief. I was kind of shocked and kind of paralyzed in my grief for a second. And I started repeating this mantra. And I said it a couple times, and then I had a burning desire to write it down. And what did I do? I grabbed my little pink Post-its at my desk, and I grabbed a thick black Sharpie, and I wrote it down in all caps, block lettering, like I normally do my word of the day, my word of the year. And then I took that Post-it and I read it again. And I remember I was wearing like a denim shirt. Guys, I love my denim. Okay, so I was wearing a denim collared shirt, and I had a pocket right above my heart. And I took that little Post-it and I tucked it in my pocket above my heart. And I tapped on it a couple times and I left it there. I came home and I put that Post-it on my bathroom mirror, and it is still there. And this phrase that started from woe is me, and then flipping the script and making it positive, and then writing it down, to me, it became more of a manifestation. And so manifestations, like if you're on TikTok or Instagram, you hear about manifestations and manifesting all the time, right? So what is a manifestation? I just decided that this word of the year was actually going to be a manifestation instead of a word of the year, because I can evolve. And so what is a manifestation? Let's get to this. Let's get to brass tacks. So what a manifestation is, it's basically the thought that it's the law of attraction, right? It's something that is turning your dreams into reality. And it does require you to take sort of like proactive steps to get what you desire. But it is something that is like, it's the concept of like the law of attraction. Okay, let's just start with that. And if you read The Secret, that's what it was all about, right? It was about manifestation, and there's so many people that believe in manifestation. Deepak Chopra, Oprah, a lot of people, and they believe that you really can manifest things. And so what it is it's essentially bringing something tangible into your life through attraction and belief. Why couldn't I get to that like 2 seconds ago? Anyway, bringing something tangible into your life through attraction and belief. For example, if you think it, it's going to come. These articles that I'm using for the piece on positive thinking and manifestation, I will share them in the show notes on timepasspodcast.com, because these are just snippets that I pulled out of these articles, and they have a wealth of information in them. So please do visit the website, timepasspodcast.com, if you want to check out the sources of this piece and read more about the power of positive thinking and manifestation. So anyway, so it is more than just willpower and positive thinking. It's about like making what you feel a reality, using your thoughts, actions, beliefs, and emotions. So here's some tips. How do you manifest, right? So here's the thing. To start manifesting, people say you have to be really clear about your goals. I hear this a lot about manifesting. Like, you can't be general. You have to be really specific with what you're manifesting. So the example that this article uses is like, if you're trying to manifest a soulmate, don't say like, I want to meet my soulmate. You need to actually like think of what your soulmate looks like. How tall are they? What color eyes do they have? What color hair do they have? What are their characteristics? What are their values? Like, you have to get really specific and clear about what you're manifesting so that the universe can deliver exactly what you want. And then, so this part was interesting because I didn't know that I was manifesting when I got that urge to write down that phrase, right? I did not know that, but apparently I was, because the next step is, once you have your intention, ask for what you want. Write it down on paper. So it says you can do this, a number of ways. You can write it down, you can pray, you can meditate, you can visualize. Some people use like vision boards or a future box. I also have a Pinterest board that I use as like a vision board that's a private on Pinterest. And I love that. I'm constantly looking at it. I'm constantly adding things to it. It's just like things I want to happen in my life. And so it's like a private Pinterest board that I use as a vision board for myself. But again, you have to say like exactly what you want. And if you've been on TikTok, a lot of you may have seen this, but there's the 369 method. That's all over TikTok about manifesting, where you write your intention down on paper, and then you write it, a certain amount of times in the morning, and then in the afternoon, and then at night for a certain amount of days. Check it out. Honestly, if you go to TikTok and you search for the 369 method, it'll come right up. The next step in manifesting is, it's not just something that you say and then, or manifest or write down or meditate on, and then you sit back and wait for it. You actually have to do the work. You have to start working towards your goals. So manifesting is not like rubbing on a lamp with a genie and waiting for your wish to come true, but you actually, the way the article puts it here is it's a collaboration. You're co-creating with the universe. So for example, like if you're manifesting your soulmate, right? Let's go back to that. You're manifesting your soulmate. You're manifesting your perfect person. You also need to come correct. So you also need to look at yourself and start thinking like, well, if, when, that's the other thing you have to start using, when my soulmate comes to me, have I completely healed myself, and will I be ready to receive him? And if not, what do I need to heal? What do I need to fix within myself? And you need to start working towards those things. Again, it's a co-collaboration. You don't just sit there and wait for the genie to grant your wish. You do the work on yourself, or whether it's a new job, you go out and you start applying for these jobs. You start practicing interviews for these jobs, things like that. The next step, which is super important, it's not the first time I've heard this. I've actually talked about this on the show before, but it's gratitude. You have to recognize the things that you have, no matter how big or small, and show gratitude for them, express gratitude for them, and be grateful for them. One way that I do this, I was introduced to this, gratitude journal. Gratitude journals have been touted by all the self-help gurus, so many books for eons and eons and eons. I was introduced to a gratitude journal through a workshop that I did with Jay Shetty, and so he's the one that introduced me to the concept, and I actually have a gratitude journal. Haven't written in it a lot lately, but for a while I was writing in it every day, and it really helps also with positive thinking, you guys. If you start your day like that, I was starting my day like that, ending my day like that, it really helped with positivity and positive thinking. So be gracious for the things that you do have in your life, and don't focus on what you don't have. Don't focus on what you don't have. You know, when I was sitting there like, woe is me, why is this happening to me? Like, I can't focus on that, because there's a lot of things that I have in my life that I should really be thankful for. There are times when, like in the past, when I've gone through a breakup or something like that, and I've gone out with friends or whatever, and there's been somebody who hasn't seen me for a long time, and I'm like, yeah, this happened. I'm like telling them my story. And I have had this person actually tell me, like, what? Like, you have all this going on for you. Like, you need to not worry about that, and you just need to like focus on this other stuff you have going on. And that's really important. And sometimes it takes a stranger or somebody we barely know or acquaintance to kind of point that out to us, for us to realize, like, oh yeah, I do have good things in my life. Okay. Here's the thing. This is what I was talking about, right? It's not if, but when. Let go of like, if this happens, start thinking positively, stop those limiting beliefs. Like, remove any negative talk, negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, telling yourself you're not good enough, telling yourself you're not worthy enough, blaming yourself for other people's actions. You're not smart enough, you're not quick enough, you're not pretty enough, whatever it is. Stop that. And that is a huge problem. Actually, Oprah talked about it, and I wrote this quote down from the article that Oprah said. And basically what Oprah said is, telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not smart enough, you're not enough, is a tape that's playing for a lot of people. If you're not conscious of that, then you end up acting out of that belief system, and not what you know to be the truest or want to be the truest for yourself. You don't become what you want, because so much of wanting is about living in the space of what you don't have. That's a really like deep statement from Oprah. A lot of us, I think sometimes we hyper focus on what we don't have in our lives. And then we focus on that, and then it becomes you're coming from a place of lack, when in reality you're abundant. You have all these things in your life to be thankful for, yet you're so focused on what you don't have, you're missing the ship, you're missing the boat, you're missing the bigger picture. Don't live there. Don't live there. You really need to get out of it. So you guys, that's a little bit about manifestation and positive thinking this week. I fell into this. I'm a spiritual person, right? I'm a practicing Hindu, so meditation for me is something I do daily. I grew up meditating. It's a practice that I do for religious purposes. So it's not really something I do to, like, a lot of people do it to ground themselves and relax and de-stress. But for me, meditation is tied to religious practice, right? They're like tied together. So I I am like a spiritual person, but I didn't think that like manifesting was going to be something that I would ever do, right? Because I don't know. It's just not something that I would do, but I think I've probably been manifesting my whole life during my morning prayers. But in this way, it just kind of fell into my lap. The feeling I had, the urge to write down this statement, y'all, was so strong. I felt that if I didn't write it down, I was gonna burst. It was crazy. And then after that is when I started looking into like, positive thinking and started connecting the dots about why perseverance never stuck. And then once I wrote it down, I was like, I think I'm manifesting this. And then I wrote it, and then I saw the positive effects it has on me, right? It's been up on my mirror now for a couple weeks, and I'm like in the shower, and my brain starts to go wherever it wants to go. And I look out my glass door, and it's right there, right? Because of my glass door, and then my mirror's right there. And I can see it, and I read it, and it just grounds me. And it helps ground me and change whatever negative thoughts I'm having, like that. And I think that that's such an important power, right? The power of positivity. Don't discount it, that. There is power in your thoughts and your words and what you write down and how you talk to yourself. There's a real power in positivity, y'all. That's all I've got for you this week, you guys. If you have ever tried manifesting something, or if you struggle with positive thinking or negative thinking, reach out. I'd love to hear from you. You can shoot me an email at timepasspodcast@gmail.com, or you can slide into my DMs on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, where you can find me on all those social media platforms. And you should have found me and should have been following me already. But let me know what you think about all this, the power of positivity and manifestations. It's a really interesting concept, and I really do stand behind it, and I really do believe in it. Alright, you guys, that's all I have for you today. If you haven't done so already, please like me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. If you are a time passer, you enjoy listening to the show, you enjoy listening to me ramble about whatever I want to ramble on, do me a favor and share the show. I really appreciate it when you guys share the show, because you're just increasing awareness. You're helping spread these positive messages, because that's my whole goal, right? I'm just trying to help people. So I really appreciate it when you can share the show with at least one person. I would love that. Share it on your socials, whatever you want to do. I would greatly appreciate that, you guys. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have a chance. And stay authentic in everything you do. Don't get caught up in the hype. Don't do something just because you've always done it that way. Listen to your intuition. Listen to that inner voice. Listen to your body, because sometimes shit like this happens, and it's weird, but it happens. So stay authentic to you, and I will see you next time. Bye.